So in my last modular video, I basically couldn't stop singing the praises of Mutable Instruments Marbles over here. It is a absolute melody monster, and it's pretty cool for creating rhythms and, you know, as I'm sure you saw from that like sort of FM type stuff I was creating. Very cool for, you know, psychedelic rhythms and that kind of stuff. Just sort of getting random inspirations, you know, out of absolutely nothing. Then I had a thought. The one thing that's, you know, really started appealing to me about the modular environment is it's very much a sort of problem-solving environment. You have various sort of tools at your disposal, and you're kind of trying to figure out means to get to an end. And the various ways you explore to get to that final product, you know, send you on sort of sporadic journeys to sort of new sound design techniques and all sorts of stuff like that. So me as a person, you could probably pick up from my sort of YouTube sort of presence, is I'm very much a problem-solving type of person. I like to be presented with a sort of challenge and come up with some sort of solution for that challenge. So as I'm sort of diving more and more into, you know, creating sounds with modular, that side of it is really starting to appeal to me, you know, trying to see how much I can do with what's in front of me, you know, trying to be as sort of resourceful as possible. And that trait, you know, excuse me if I'm boring some of you guys with the long, you know, intro or whatever, but that trait of resourcefulness, in my opinion, is probably one of the most important traits in a sound designer. You know, when you're presented with a simple synth, you know, that maybe only has one voice and one filter, being able to make the most out of that is, you know, obviously to your advantage. So anyway, I was sitting staring at marbles and I posed myself the question, you know, can this guy self-oscillate? So of course, I don't care if the outcome is, you know, the most musical or non-musical thing that I'm ever going to make. It's about, you know, discovering new techniques and abilities with what's presented in front of you. So, like I said, the question was, can marbles self-oscillate? Can it make a tone? Because essentially what this gate is, this up and down, you know, this light on and off, this LED flashing over here, essentially what that is it's a square LFO. Let's have a look at the oscilloscope. So as you can see, that's a square wave. You know, obviously it's very low, so we're not really hearing anything at the moment, or are we? You know, let's actually plug this into the VCA that's running into my sound card, and let's have a listen. So you can hear it starts to go into the audible range when we start turning the rate up quite high. However, it gets to a point where, you know, we're only sitting with low frequencies, and Marbles has actually got this button over here, and that just times the frequency by 4. And as you can see on the oscilloscope, suddenly it's actually at somewhere which looks like audible range. And when we start, you know, tweaking the rate much further, that's definitely, you know, oscillator worthy. We'll change this over to tuner mode, and we'll see we've got a frequency. Let's see if we can tune this to D sharp. Close. It's obviously quite hard because there's no fine tune control. So, I mean, it's obviously not designed for being an oscillator. That being said, you know, just having more functions on one device is obviously a good thing, you know? So let's listen. And that is a clean square wave. So now let's see if we can maybe, you know, trigger a VCA and a envelope with the gate coming out of my computer. And let's use the same trigger to clock this source and see if we can use marbles to modulate its own pitch in a sort of self-oscillation mode. I think that would be sort of ultimate problem-solving test if it could do that. Let's see. So to be clear, I'm not only using marbles, but it could be done with just marbles and a VCA. I'm just using the data to obviously duplicate on the clock. Or you could use a mult or even a passive mult, if I'm not mistaken, you could use it for that. I'm kind of being silly, but like I said, this is what I've got in front of me. This is a test of resourcefulness, and that's what we're going to try to do. So now let's see if we can inject some of these other CV modulation outputs into some of its own controls to create some varying modulations and randomness, and see, try sort of push marbles to its limit here. So like I was playing around with this jitter control, and that sounded really cool when it hit like around there. It almost turned into like a FM type of sound, or like a noise, white noise kind of thing. That sounded really cool, so I want to modulate that. Awesome. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Apologies if I blew any speakers or eardrums or something. I know it started getting a little bit wild there around the end. So something happened while I was trying to record some of these sounds, and not all of them got captured. So there's no new sort of sample pack with this episode. But if you want some of the sounds that I created during this episode, they'll be included with the sample packs from the last episode. So if you want to know what that's all about, head on over to my Patreon. The link should be somewhere on the screen right now. As always, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. See you guys next time.